And this is the kind of epithelium present in the nasal cavity. And when we come to the trachea, let me go to the trachea here. This trachea has a structure like this. This is a rounded tubular structure. It is a tube-like structure. This trachea is a tube-like structure. This trachea here is a tube-like structure. And here you can see that in the trachea you can see that it has rings, it has rings. And these rings are made up of cartilage. They are made up of cartilage. And these rings provide, because we cannot live without air. And every single moment we need air. So the function of this ring is to keep this trachea patent, mazboot all the time. Okay. So the rings are there in the structure. So if we go from outside, what we will see? We see these rings, and then inside we will see some connective tissue. And inside the connective tissue, we will see some glands and we will see epithelium. Okay. So if we go from inside, the first structure which we'll see from inside, we will see what? We will see this epithelium. This is the space or lumen where air is present, and then we will see this epithelium. And behind the epithelium, we will see some connective tissue and glands, and then we will see some muscle. And then we will see a cartilage. And outside the cartilage is present connective tissue or the skin. So we have skin here. Just behind the skin we have connective tissue. Then we have these cartilages. And then cartilages, inside the cartilage we have some muscle here. Present some smooth muscle. And then we have some connective tissue and glands. And then we have epithelium. So what is the idea? Idea is that this cartilage makes the trachea mazboot all the time, patent all the time, so that air can go through the trachea all the time without any interruption. And then this smooth muscle is present. Now you can see the shape of the cartilage. This is hyaline cartilage. And shape of the cartilage is like C. It is English letter Y like C. And between the two ends of this C is present a smooth muscle. From here to here is present a smooth muscle. And this smooth muscle, controls the lumen. By pulling the cartilage. So cartilage is pulled or relaxed with the help of this smooth muscle. Okay. Now let me show you. Let us start from inside. Inside is what? Epithelium. So the epithelium of the trachea is same respiratory epithelium. And you know that what is the respiratory epithelium? What is the type of respiratory epithelium? Pseudo-stratified, columnar, ciliated with goblet cell. This is the complete name. So it means pseudo. What type of pseudo-stratified epithelium is? Okay. So you can see the cells of different length. That's why we say pseudo. It looks like stratified, but actually it is not stratified. It is simple. It is simple, but looks like stratified. And this epithelium has 5 types of cells. This is important. How many types of cells? 5 types of cells are present in this epithelium. Now let me have some close picture and show you the type of cells. Okay, I don't have. So now I can make it on the board. This is the only important thing. Rest of the structure you already know that. So you remember these type of cells which are present in the epithelium, and this is important. Give me 1 minute. I bring marks. So the cells, now look at this, and so here is the basement membrane. This is the basement membrane here. And the cells, here we have like cell, simple columnar like this, and pseudo-stratified, simple, it is pseudo-stratified columnar. So columnar cells, then we can have another columnar cell, and then we have another columnar cell, but in between these two columnar cells, we have another cell here, is small. And we have a cell which is like goblet cell. So the nucleus is here. And then we have another small cell. Then we have another big cell like this. So epithelium, all cells are resting on basement membrane. See, all cells coming on basement membrane, so it is a actually simple epithelium, not a stratified epithelium. Now you can see the level of the nuclei are different. Therefore, these cells appear like two cells, two rows of cells, one at this level and one at this level. That's why we say it is pseudo. What do you say? Pseudo. Now some cells are ciliated, have cilia, and some cells are not ciliated. So we have this goblet cell. So type of cells, number one, goblet cells,
Ciliated.
then columnar ciliated cells,
Basal membrane. Basal cell.
then we have this basal cell.
شو اسمه؟
These basal cells are called as the neuroendocrine cells. And then we have another type of basal cells. They are called stem cells. And then we have number 5, columnar cells,
which
are non-ciliated.
yes.
Columnar non-ciliated serous cells. They are serous secretion cells. So they have some secretion which is serous secretion. You know, so these 5 type of cells. Now these 2 type of cells, basal cells, which are neuroendocrine cells, they have some secretory function of some hormone. They're secreting some hormone. And these stem cells, these are the cells which are multiplying. They continuously multiply and they replace all other type of cells. They replace the other, because these cells, they become dead after some time and they are replaced. So they are replaced with the help of these cells. These cells, they multiply, they divide, and they replace these old type of cells. So these are the type of cells which are present. Then we have this lamina propria. Just below here we have loose connective tissue. So in the loose connective tissue we have what? Lamina propria, we have blood vessels موجود here. We have, you know, the blood cells here. And then we have submucosa. This is submucosa. In the submucosa we have these glands. So these seromucous glands are present. So in the submucosa, these seromucous glands, and you can see now, this is a gland, these are glands. So these glands, you can see some of the glands are appearing whitish. They are appearing white. And some of them, they are dark. Here, this gland is dark glands. So these white glands are mucus glands. White glands are mucus, and these dark glands are serous glands. So we have what type of glands? Seromucous glands. So in the respiratory system, especially in the trachea, we have seromucous glands. And the number of the glands is as we go down the trachea, you know, this whole is trachea here. As we go down, the number of the glands will decrease. Number of our glands will decreasing. Okay. And then we have just below the submucosa, you can see this. This is called fibrosa, and we have the cartilage here. So you can see the cartilage here. but the cartilage is only in the C shape. So in some parts cartilage will be present, in some parts it will be absent, not present. So in this part we don't have cartilage, but in this part we have the cartilage. And this is a hyaline cartilage. So, and you know that the hyaline cartilage has a outer covering which is called perichondrium. So this connective tissue here, it will fuse with the perichondrium of this cartilage here. And then this cartilage, and in the gap here we have a smooth muscle. So we have this, and maybe we have a cartilage here, we have glands, and then we have cartilage. So we have a hyaline cartilage here. And this hyaline cartilage cells together, ground substance cells together, and then you can see this is hyaline cartilage. And the perichondrium here. So this perichondrium of the cartilage fuse with the connective tissue of the submucosa. So they fuse together here. And then outside we have again connective tissue. This is the structure of the whole trachea. Most important is this epithelium. Then we have this lamina propria, which is connective tissue with blood vessels and cells. And then we have submucosa. In the submucosa we have glands, two types of glands, serous and mucous glands. And then we have this cartilage. And then we have finally connective tissue. So this is what is the structure. You can see here, I show you the other picture. This is picture showing you one cell, and on the surface of the cells they are showing you cilia. Cilia are present. Another picture, now you can see here, this is picture of the bronchus, but the structure almost the same. Pseudo-stratified columnar ciliated epithelial cells, and then you can see lamina propria, and then this is the muscle is present. And you can see cartilage here. You can see hyaline cartilage here, and in the hyaline cartilage you can see this. These are the cartilage cells, and this is the ground substance. And so this, just like this, it is here. This cartilage is just like that cartilage. So cartilage here, and then we have this, the lamina propria, and then we have the seromucous glands in the submucosa. So this is mucosa, and then we have submucosa here, and then we have this cartilage, and outside we have the connective tissue. This is all is about the structure of the trachea. It is just like the structure you seen in the nasal cavity, or just like the structure you have seen, you will see in the bronchus or the other parts of the respiratory system. Now let's come to the trachea. Unfortunately, this has no slides, or let me see if they have slides of trachea. No, but I have. Now the trachea, you know the vocal folds, yes? You know the vocal folds, vocal cords, you know? So trachea is a box-like structure. The trachea is like this. Let's say the trachea. So trachea, if I make it, it is like a box. It's like this. Lower down is continue with the trachea, but here, this is the wall of the vocal. This is the wall of the, let's say, trachea, and the wall of the trachea continue with the wall of the trachea, and this is larynx here. So wall of the larynx is continue with the wall of the trachea, but let's say up to here is the larynx. In the center of the larynx, we have two folds. One fold is known as vocal fold. This one is vocal cord or vocal fold, and this is called as false vocal cord. This is called false vocal cord or false vocal fold. They are not vocal folds, they are only folds of epithelium. So this is mucosa here, they are the folds of the mucosa. and they are known as the false vocal folds. And here in the true vocal folds, this is true vocal fold. In the true vocal fold, how do we identify? There's these true vocal folds, they actually move. They move, they control the air passage. So these true vocal folds are number one, long, up to here. They control the flow of the air, so air is coming from here, so they can open and close. And these true vocal folds, inside they have muscle. They have skeletal muscle present inside and a ligament. So they have actually muscle inside, and this muscle controls their movement. And their epithelium, this epithelium of the true vocal folds is stratified squamous. Stratified squamous. While the rest of the respiratory system, whole vocal, is respiratory epithelium. Pseudo-stratified columnar epithelium, ciliated epithelium. So these vocal folds are different from the rest of the larynx by means of epithelium, which is what? Stratified squamous. And rest of the epithelium whole is respiratory epithelium. And then they have skeletal muscle present here, which controls their movement. That's the only difference. Rest of the structure is the same, like trachea. Like we have mucosa, then we have lamina propria within the mucosa, then we have submucosa, then we have submucosa, and then we have outside, we have the muscles. So structure is more or less the same, except the vocal folds, that these vocal folds, they have epithelium stratified squamous. Stratified squamous, and the inside they have skeletal muscle which control their movements. This is the only structure. This is the only difference in the trachea and the other of the larynx and the trachea. And this space between the two folds, this space is known as ventral fossa. Known as ventral fossa. Oh, sorry, ventricle. Not ventral, ventricle. It's known as ventricle. So this is a ventricle space between the two vocal folds. This is false respiratory epithelium. Here you have the glands. Here you have the how do you difference between the two? That here you have glands, but here you have the muscles and connective tissue. This is how you differentiate between the two vocal folds. So this was about the larynx and the trachea. I will give you a handout. Try to read this handout, and I will now notify you with the slides. The slides which will come in the exam, inshallah, today. Right? So give me your attendance, and if you have any questions, you can ask me now.
Question.